either, if you will. Weibo saw its shares closing up 19% after its first ever day of trading. China's answer to Twitter is the third Chinese company to list in the U.S. this year alone, and it won't be the last. Catherine Clifford reports.
A lukewarm start for Weibo as it made its US debut, but share prices did pick up. The Chinese microblogging platform ended trading on Thursday at just over $20 after opening below the subscription price of $17, making a 19% jump.
Obviously, I'm very happy, and especially given the market, has not been doing great in the last couple of weeks, and I think the performance has been terrific for us.
Weibo is often described as a Chinese clone of Twitter. However, this debut paled in comparison to Twitter's 73% stock jump on its first day of trading. In all, Weibo raised $286 million, despite estimating the value of its IPO at as much as $500 million last month. Weibo also intentionally sold fewer shares than planned. It's facing increasing competition from rising local rivals like WeChat. And Beijing's fierce crackdown on social media has seen posts on the site drop dramatically. All eyes were on the debut ahead of Chinese online giant and Weibo's co-owner Alibaba's much-anticipated plan to file for US IPO.
Alibaba is the e-commerce ecosystem in China, and we are sort of the social mobile platform in China. Together, we really want to create something big in the mobile social commerce area, and we're already in the progress.
It's thought Alibaba's debut could raise as much as $15 billion. It would make it the largest internet company IPO since Facebook's $16 billion one in 2012.
Now, that IPO did give a little bit of a boost to Wall Street on Thursday. We saw the S&P 500 closing up just slightly. It did represent a gain of 2.7% over the past 4 days. That's the best weekly gain since July of last year. Overall, not a bad day there on Wall Street. It was actually the last trading day of the week there. U.S. and European markets are going to be closed this Friday to mark the Easter weekend. We're looking at a mixed day of trading in Asia. Tokyo has closed up. Shares in Shanghai have fallen to a 10-day low, though. This as the government in Beijing said that new home prices had risen 7.7% in March from a year earlier. That indicates a slowdown in momentum for the property market there. Let's move on to some of the day's other business headlines now. In the United States, the man who oversaw the cleanup of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill has reached a deal to settle charges of insider trading. Keith Seelan, a former BP employee, was accused of selling $1 million worth of BP shares after he received information about the severity of the spill in 2010, information that was not publicly available at the time. BP shares fell almost 50% once the magnitude of the disaster became known. A vote of little confidence in book giant Barnes & Noble from the company's founder. Leonard Riggio reduced his stake in the U.S. book chain to 20% by selling shares worth $64 million. Like other traditional booksellers, Barnes & Noble has struggled to compete with online retailers that offer lower prices. And first Brussels, now Berlin. A German court has blocked many services offered by the app-based driver system Uber. The San Francisco-based startup is backed by Google and has met with phenomenal success in the U.S. It's based on a smartphone app that connects passengers with drivers. It's been fiercely opposed by traditional taxi firms. Earlier this week, Brussels banned it altogether, and the Berlin ruling marks another roadblock in Uber's overseas expansion.
Finally, China is giving a new definition to low-cost housing. China is producing some unusual homes. Not only do they cost less than $5,000 each, but they're made by a 3D printer.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about these new 3D printers as they begin to hit the markets, these new printers that can print anything really, from guns to cars to apparently houses in three-dimensional form, so they're really like the real thing. Now, Shanghai Winsun Decoration Design Engineering, this is a firm based, of course, in Shanghai. It's created 10 3D printed houses, each taking less than 24 hours to construct. Pieces were printed separately from high-grade cement and glass fiber, and then each piece was assembled, each house costing about $4,800 US. No word yet as to who might be buying them or moving in.
Would you live in one of those?
I'm not sure. I'd want some other people to test it out first, I think. I'm not totally convinced yet, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I'm not either. Well, we'll see how that turns out. Thank you very much, Kate Moody with the business news. And now it's time for a tour of the hot spots on the web.
Emotions are running high on the web following Wednesday's ferry disaster. The Sewol was carrying 475 people when it sank off the coast of South Korea. Some 300 passengers are still missing. The tragedy's been met with widespread commentary online and prompted countless messages of condolence on social networks. Web users from South Korea and all over the world have been posting under the Pray for South Korea hashtag, expressing their sorrow and urging families of those still missing to hold on to hope and pray they'll be found safe and sound. Some passengers on the doomed ship showed astonishing bravery, risking their lives to save others. Crew member 22-year-old Park Ji-young, for example, died as she tried to evacuate passengers. Daily newspaper The Straits Times has written a moving piece about her on its website. Many web users have responded, praising her exceptional sacrifice, saying she died a hero. The captain of the ferry, however, apparently showed none of this bravery. Web users say he jumped ship as the capsized vessel began to sink. Many are blaming him for the tragedy, saying he must pay the price. Web users have donated £62,000 sterling, that's over 75,000 euros, to the JustGiving.com fundraising campaign started by Robert Berry, who died after completing the 34th London Marathon last Sunday. After his death was announced, donations to his page started soaring, vastly exceeding the £1,700 he was hoping to raise for his chosen charity. Web users have also posted messages with their pledges paying tribute to the 42-year-old British man, with messages of condolence for his wife and 2 children. Donors have praised the runner who completed the marathon, but tragically collapsed at the finish line. As we can read on the blog, Robert Berry had started when he began training for the marathon. He was raising money for the National Osteoporosis Society in tribute to his mother, who's lived with a brittle bone condition for 20 years. The post details his prep for the race from last December onwards, and he did say he'd been experiencing breathing difficulties during his recent training sessions. The charity Robert Berry was supporting has paid tribute to him on its website and thanked the 5,000 or so web users who donated to his fundraising page for their incredible generosity. Joe Biden joined Instagram on April 16th and already has over 46,000 followers. The account is called VP, and the Vice President of the United States has posted just 4 pictures so far, including one selfie with Barack Obama, where they're both smiling in the back of the presidential limousine. And the photo has, of course, created quite a buzz on social networks. With this video, web users get to go along for the ride when Canadian mountain bike champion Jeff Gulvich embarks on one dizzy descent. The images were filmed for a competition organised by a well-known energy drink in the US state of Utah and are available to view on the Extreme Sportsman's YouTube channel.
How's the wind?
Good, dude. You're chilling. 3 to 5. Get some speed on there.
Oh,
You got this.
I don't like the wind. Whoa.
I hope he's wearing a helmet. Time for a short break, but stay with us after the jump. We'll be crossing over to Catherine Norris Trent in Algiers. She'll have the latest on the presidential election there that incumbent President Abdelaziz Bouteflika is largely expected to win. Stay with us.